What's up, Relic fans? This is Buggo coming to you from the Relic head offices in Vancouver, British Columbia. And we are here with Mr. Rob Cunningham, and he is currently the Director of Concept and Visualization at Relic. So, what do you do in your new role?
In my new role, I do pretty much what I did in my old role, which was I run a small visualization team. We call it the Viz team, and it's made up of concept artists, and together we work with the art directors and lead designers and sometimes the executives at Relic to visualize concepts and develop concepts for our games. So these can be anything from landscapes to inspirational paintings to unit designs, level designs, storyboards for cinematic sequences, stuff like that.
Great. So can you describe a typical day at work at Relic?
A typical day? A typical day would probably involve me taking care of some emails in the morning probably, and then I'd probably meet with my team and we talk about the work they're doing and what's coming up next and when they expect to be finished and that kind of administrative stuff. And then typically I'll have a meeting or two in the afternoon and go through some stuff with people, and if I'm lucky I'll do some painting.
Awesome. So what's your career background? How did you get into Relic?
Well, I'm one of the founders of Relic, so there was no Relic before. I was previously doing film illustration, so storyboards and set visualizations for movies, and kind of got into games sort of by accident. I was friends with Alex Garden, and he started Relic and joined up with me and four other guys, and we started it that way. So it was kind of, I never intended to join the gaming industry, so it's kind of an accident actually.
So did you have any mentors growing up in terms of your art style or influences in that sense? Kind
of. I have the standard influences that most people have, like Sid Mead or Craig Mullins or these brilliant painters. But to be honest, I think the biggest influence for me was my partner, Aaron Kambitz, who's also one of the founders of Relic. Now no longer with Relic, he's independent. But he taught me a great deal about using computers especially and how to use that tool, really,
So can you give us some insight into how you come up with art and direction for your projects at Relic?
It's kind of a gut level thing. It's sort of it's a kind of an emotional exploration of the content, whatever you're working on. It all depends on what it is that what's the job. Often just go for a walk with someone or grab a coffee and just talk about the objective and try and clarify what the intent is. And if you can get a good handle on what the intent is, then you're much better equipped to actually knock off images that start articulating that and getting a little closer to the mark. And once everyone's pretty happy about where it's going, then you can start hammering on some good looking comps and some nice digital painting.
So when you're creating these digital paintings or comps, what specific software or tools do you prefer?
I work these days exclusively in Photoshop with my Cintiq tablet here. So it's either digital painting with the Cintiq in Photoshop, or I'm with a pencil on a piece of paper. Basically,
right.
That's pretty much it for me. I don't use any 3D software besides maybe SketchUp. Occasionally, I'll use SketchUp to pre-visualize a 3D environment if it's particularly complicated or the perspective is difficult. But generally it's just Photoshop with my Cintiq.
Interesting. So how long does it take you to create a quick concept sketch versus a full model?
Wow, a concept sketch can take anywhere from like a minute to a couple hours. Generally, I don't really work on anything for longer than a couple of hours. I think a couple of hours is maybe 3 hours or 4 hours is the longest I've ever spent on a single piece of work. I guess I'm lucky that way. I'm kind of, I guess, either lazy or easily distracted, but one way or another, I prefer to just move quickly and get onto the next painting. I'm not really a fine detail type, finishing type artist.
Okay. So can you maybe describe for our viewers what projects you've worked on with Relic in the past and what roles you did on those, in case anyone didn't already know?
Sure. When we started Relic, I was the art director of Homeworld 1, and I did a lot of the ship designs, worked on the story, directed the voice talent, directed all the cinematic sequences for that, and the music as well. Paul Ruskay did the music and the audio for Homeworld. And then I worked on Homeworld 2 in much the same role, doing the same things. There was some concept development work on some projects that didn't go anywhere in between that and the next thing, which was Dawn of War. I didn't do too much on Dawn of War, just the intro sequence that was made by Blur Studios, and I directed that and worked with Andy on the look of the game a little bit, but that was mostly his deal. And then on COH, worked primarily in the story development and cinematic direction.
Awesome. Yeah. So which project did you find the most interesting to work on?
I think I probably have to say Homeworld, because it was the first one, and it was kind of everything was new and exciting, and there was only a few of us, and at the same time we were making the game, we were also making the company, so it had this kind of it was kind of doubly interesting. Like the other projects, it was all just about the game, so it was a bit more focused and limited, you know? It's more exciting when you're not only creating a game, but also an entire company, so.
Totally.
It's probably Homeworld 1, I'd have to say. Not that the others were less interesting, but in the context, I think I'd have to say Homeworld 1 was probably the most exciting.
So, I mean, you worked on Homeworld, Dawn of War, and Company of Heroes, and they're all pretty different in their art style. So how was it to work with such different art styles and different projects?
To be honest, I think it's less an issue of style and more an issue of like treatment or delivery intent. Like Homeworld had this kind of, you know, very big, colourful, epic sort of quality, and you know, that had its own sort of challenges and whatnot, and the others have sort of different. Each one is different. Like Company of Heroes, you've got a World War II setting, so you've got a lot of you're in good company. I mean, a lot of people have done World War II content before, so you've got creative challenges there. You don't want to you want it to look like something, but not too much like it. Otherwise, you're ripping them off, and so on. You know, so.
Right.
Company of Heroes. My favorite cutscene in that, I'd say it was probably the one that. There were more interesting and more difficult cutscenes, but I think the one that I liked the most was the one at the end of Mission 3, where the MG crew set up an MG emplacement and mow down a bunch of Germans trying to retreat, and all the audio kind of cuts away, and the music sort of carries the scene. And I think the reason I liked it the best was because at the end of the scene there, the loader next to the MG, he doesn't have any lines, but he kind of looks really disturbed at this guy's just murdered all these Germans, and this one dude, and his CO is telling him off, but the other guy is just kind of looking away, like, you know, what's going on here? This is kind of this moment where it seemed to sort of transcend a little bit, and actually felt kind of dramatic and very cool. So I think I like that one the most.
So across all Relic games, which was your favorite unit?
My favorite unit?
Yes.
Like vehicle or whatever?
Yeah, unit or infantry unit or character.
That's a tough question. There've been a lot.
A lot to pick from.
There've been a lot of neat ones. You know, I think I have to say that my favorite was the Kushan Destroyer from Homeworld 1. I like that one the most, I think.
How would you say your personal style has evolved during your time at Relic?
I would say that my personal style has probably gotten messier and quicker. I was a lot more careful at the beginning, and now I think I move a lot quicker and don't worry so much. So it's become a lot looser and a lot more sort of gestural, I think.
Right.
But not like abstract or anything. You know?
What, if any, were your inspirations for the Homeworld and Homeworld 2 art, including ship design, backgrounds, cutscene animations? It's quite a big question.
Yeah. I think it's widely known that for the ship designs, me and Aaron were heavily influenced by the work from the 70s, guys like Peter Elson, Chris Voss. I was also heavily influenced by comic book artists like Cam Kennedy. For the backgrounds, for the skies and stuff, I gotta say, I think my biggest influence for creating the look of the skies in Homeworld 1 was just road tripping across America. I was fond of, and still am, fond of driving on big road trips, and I drove...
Would you like to tell the users what car you drive?
Well, I drive a Lotus now, but at the time I drove a Honda Civic, and that was fine. And driving across America was... I did that 6 times, and it was just spectacular, the skies that you would see. So it occurred to me that I was always driving, especially when you're driving west to Vancouver from the East Coast. Every day you're driving into the sunset, and the sun sets in front of you every day. So it's like you're trying to reach the sunset. So that concept really appealed to me because it kind of linked every day to the next, and it gave you this kind of consistency across the journey, like you were forever trying to reach the sunset. And that I felt resonated with the Homeworld story of trying to go home to your homeworld. So I think that's where the backgrounds for Homeworld came from. They got ever brighter and warmer until you were ultimately at the end of Homeworld, you were like in the sunset. Sorry, what was the third part of that question?
Cutscene animations.
The animations? The NISs and animatics, I think, were probably most heavily influenced by sci-fi movies like Star Wars. They had this kind of slow quality with stuff, moving around, and we wanted to leave as much room as possible for speech and music. So, I guess maybe 2001 and like Aliens, these kind of, possibly a bit of Blade Runner, but that was a bit darker, It was more,
I love Blade Runner.
Yeah, same. It's probably one of the best sci-fi movies ever made, I think. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you were given the chance to remake the art of Homeworld 1 and 2, would you change anything?
You always want to go back and fuss with that thing you didn't like, So yeah, probably. I'd probably have to sort of, sit down and think about it for a while, but I'm sure there's something about both of those projects that I'd want to change, some ship that didn't work so well or whatever, but probably not that much. I'm pretty happy with the way those games looked, I thought they did justice to the look of the technology and those big spaceships. I think it felt about right. If I did change anything, it would be probably pretty minor. I think for Homeworld 2, it would be more the story that I would have changed than the actual ships themselves.
Right. So what would you change in the story?
Well, I always felt, I liked the story of Homeworld 2. I thought it was, grandiose and everything, but I felt that it just was perhaps a little bit too noodly, like they're a little bit too complicated, and I think that was successful, but I think in our efforts to achieve that depth, we kind of lost sight of the power of simplicity. And I think that's what really drove Homeworld 1 home for people. It was that you're just going home. It's so simple. The premise of the story was very easy to understand and relate to. Whereas with Homeworld 2, it was all about, these 3 hyperspace cores, and they had to come together and then unlock this kind of god beast, and it was cool, but it was pretty complicated stuff, and there were a lot of inconsistencies, and it's tough to tell a complex story,
Right.
Well,
Yeah, that's true. So what advice would you give to somebody interested in your field of work?
What advice? I would say someone interested in doing concept work for games and direction for games, I think, needs not so much to be an expert at games, but rather they need to understand what motivates people. I think you got to be in touch with emotionally resonant images. Like anyone can draw a tank, but I think a professional concept artist has to be able to draw a tank that gives you that feeling of, whoa, I don't want to see that thing coming at me, you know, like, or you have to kind of somehow connect with people on an emotional level to be, I think, a concept artist in video games. Otherwise, your art's going to be dry, and you'd probably be better suited doing something else if you can't quite get on that level. Same applies for storytelling and other aspects of art direction in video games. But I think it's really that emotional contact is the important point. How one develops that, I think, is different for everyone. Obviously, going to art school helps a lot. You know, you just train and you become a better technician at your craft. You know.
Did you go to art school at all?
I did. Yeah, I went to the Rhode Island School of Design. Graduated with a BFA in illustration. Wow. Which was huge for me. You know, and RISD was a great school, but I think what was more important than it being a great school is that they just made you make a lot of art. Like, if you want to do art, you gotta do art, like a lot of it, and just keep doing it, and just, you know, for every 100 paintings you make, show people 4, and toss the rest, you know, like, consider them they're just development. You know, you're not gonna tell everyone the story of how you walked out the house to get to the front yard, when the destination is the next town. You're gonna, you know what I mean? You just gotta keep doing the stuff, just keep doing it, until you just get better and better and better, and soon you'll find out if you're any good at this, or if you're enjoying it. You gotta enjoy it. I think that's the main thing. If you're having fun, then other people will too. It's generally, fun is like contagious, you know?
So speaking of fun, what do you do in your spare time?
I like to drive my car.
So you have a Lotus, but it's want to expand on that a little bit? Tell us a little about your baby.
Yeah. Her favorite thing is to munch on cash. It's expensive car, and I've always loved that car. It's an Esprit. It's a Lotus Esprit 2001 V8 3.5 twin turbo. It's a badass car. That thing hauls. And it's really fun, you know, school kids love it. They like wave at you from the bus and stuff, and it just happened coming to work this morning, actually. It's really great to have such a high performance, piece of machinery at your fingertips. You appreciate the sensitivity of it and how it drives, and you just get training. It's become like a hobby. So, you know, that's what I like doing for fun. If I can't do that, then I'll probably, you know, watch a movie or hang out with some friends or something. You know? Great.
So the question that everyone has been looking for, what are you working on right now? Can you give us any hints on that, or?
No, I'm not allowed to discuss that.
Oh, no.
Besides that, it's very cool, and, it's very exciting, and, we're obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but we're at early stages with it right now, so, it'll be a while, I assume, before it becomes sort of, you know, public knowledge, but it's very exciting, it's very cool, and,
are you doing the art for it, or how are you involved with it?
I'm doing concept work for it, and, concept development, working with the leads on the project, and you know, trying to get some foundation stuff done, and we'll see where it goes. It's pretty exciting.
Great. So let's do some fun quick fire questions. Just answer them. Don't even think. Pirates or ninjas?
Pirates.
Style or technique?
Style.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Liquor or beer?
Beer.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Definitely sci-fi.
Kushan or Taidan?
Taidan, I think.
Okay. Dragon or unicorn?
Unicorn.
Pencil or tablet?
That's a close one. That's a real close one. I think I'd have to go with pencil.
Pencil.
Yeah.
All right, old school. So let's do some word association, just whatever word comes to mind. So, relic.
Home.
Homeworld.
Wow. Homeworld. Cool.
Took you a lot of time to come up with cool.
Sorry.
Paint.
Fingers.
Forestry sim.
Forestry sim?
Do you know what that is?
No.
It's an inside community joke. Apparently, they thought that we were doing the simulation with trees and forests as like one of our next projects.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
So, Yeah.
Like a logger game.
I guess so.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe we'll pass on
You'd
that
have to deal with environmentalists, you know.
That'd be crazy.
You know, tree huggers. Yeah. You'd have to take them down.
That'd be easy to do in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You could do, like, heated interviews with loggers and, like...
Uh-huh. I think we're forming some great game concept here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Pants?
Tight.
Old school?
Dusty.
Lotus.
Nippy.
Christmas.
Prezzies.
Great. So now what we're going to do is basically look over Rob's shoulder as he shows us some cool things that he's worked on and maybe even draw us a thing or two.
Cool. All right. So,
this is where the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens. Let's open a new file here. Now, typically, what I do is probably start with just something simple. Maybe just like a nice little rectangle.
This is art under pressure.
Art totally under. This is performance art. Usually, if I was doing a ship, for example, for Homeworld, what I'd probably start with is like just to try and get the overall shape is I'd probably just block in something very, very basic to begin with, like something like this. Like maybe this is some kind of large ship. This would be like probably some kind of mothership class unit, because you can see that it's got this kind of big form to it. Maybe at the same time I'll draw a little strike craft down here and get an idea of some of the characteristic massing that goes into some of these. Something, it's a tie-danny shape like this. So these kind of ships would be related. I'd imagine these two would kind of be in the same fleet, maybe even. And you've got like some kind of fin action happening on there, like that. And just like lighten those babies up a little bit. And then maybe there'd be some kind of, I don't know, some kind of paneling, like you'd have like some kind of some kind of panel line arrangement that would maybe something like this. Obviously, this is super rough. Mm-hmm. You'd probably want to get in and do more like detailed, or not detailed, I should say more careful illustration if you're gonna. You kind of have like a very basic description of the form. You might want to kind of like darken in some of the engine and component areas. Can you see okay from over there?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Maybe I should clean this up just a little bit because it's actually pretty messy. But so you kind of start getting kind of, is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Start kind of getting a little better sense of it. And then maybe it needs just a little bit better kind of articulation of form on there, you know, like maybe just a little bit of light catching the surfaces. Just a little bit. Stuff like this, perhaps. And then what I'd probably do next is some kind of like, I don't know, let's make these guys tie-down ships.
And what is the decision behind that?
What's that?
What's the decision behind that?
None really. Just feel like doing tie-down. I guess in the question you asked me earlier, like tie-down or Kushan. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, tie-down. So let's make some tie-down ships.
Oh, that's looking good now.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are the colors of the tie-down fleet. Whoops. And the tie-down are known, well, perhaps not known, but the tie-down have this kind of way of coloring their ships that are different from the Kushan. They kind of have this, these kind of patches. It's kind of like a patchwork type. But there's, generally speaking, there's kind of a tension between this is kind of getting technical, but there's just kind of like a tension between the form of the ship and the texture of it. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And then let's throw a little bit of orange. Whoops. On some of these things. Actually, I think it was the Kushan fleet that had orange antennas, but never mind. And carrying on, what I would do probably I'm speeding this up a lot, obviously. So what would be happening? I'd be a lot more careful about this if I was actually doing some ships. What I would do is go in there and do some high frequency lighting to really say that this is a big capital ship, and you kind of can see where this is kind of going. Maybe there'd be some lights over here, and looks like the engineering section of the ship. And this guy has probably not got too many lights, but something like that. And then what I'd do is probably take that, copy it, blur it out a little bit. Let's go, give it a little blurage. Maybe reduce the glow on that guy. Copy that down. Maybe vibe it up. And then I'd probably now I'd want to give those lights some color. So for the tie-down, I can't remember what color they had on their lights. I'm pretty sure it was like red, or I think it was blue actually. Let's make them blue. Blue looks pretty cool. So you can kind of see like what's going on there, and then I don't know, maybe there's like a planet down here or something. Enemy units detected.
So do you always make strange sounds when you're drawing?
You know what? I find making sound effects helps the drawing process a great deal. I actually, sometimes I think that a good painting is can be defined by, at least a good concept painting can, and this is by no means like gospel or anything. It's just an idea. A good concept painting is often got lots of sound cues in it. So if you can look at a picture and it's full of sound cues, this one doesn't really have too many in it, but sometimes it's just a better picture because of the sound cues. You can look at it. I find when little kids do drawings, if you ever watch a little kid do a drawing, what's interesting about children when they draw is when they're drawing, it's actually happening. So you'll see kids, they draw like, a guy and he's like running, and and then like someone shoots him, and he dies, and then somebody else comes, and then a plane shows up and like blows up, and it's and like the finished picture is almost irrelevant to the kid. What's important is that a war happened, while they were doing the picture. So, I guess it's not totally related matter, but it's similar because it's all about sound cues. Let's get those clouds. Let's get that space looking a bit darker. That's and then it just gets more detailed basically, but that's kind of the gist of it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for joining us, and thanks for all the fans for stopping by and downloading the video interview. So we're going to post up this artwork online, if that's okay with Rob. And
this picture here?
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay, and we'll post it for all the forum goers to see.
Cool.
So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.